Hello, hello, friends! This is LegendArmor TV, and today we continue breaking down the Redeemers and going to talk about the dark side of the moon battle. As always, if you find my guides helpful, please leave a like and hit a subscribe button. And feel free to ask me what kind of guide you would want to see me make next time in the comment section below. From the bottom of my heart, thank you very much. We're going to skip the preparation this time and jump right to the stats, caps, and the gameplay. So if you want to know what can and cannot be used in Redeemers, how to access them, and what rewards they give, please watch the first minutes of my previous guide, which is Sea of Reflection. All the valuable information is there. Let us begin. Okay, so let's break down the stats of the Dark Side of the Moon battle real quick. And I will also mention a couple of things that are slightly different in regards of progression and the rookie buff. As you can see, Balor's attack cap is 33,500. So to crit cap and crit resist cap him, we will need 173 critical and 150 critical resistance. So we will feel absolutely perfect. Now, when it comes to rookie buff, unlike Sea of Reflection, you will only be able to automatically revive 3 times there, versus 7 times in Main, so keep that in mind. And there is also a different progression percentage. If you clear Neem, each time you will gain 25%. Now, in Balor, you only gain 2% per clear, so it's going to take much more time to hit all the milestones in the Dark Side of the Moon. And this is pretty much it. Let's get straight to the action. Alright, well, let's fight this guy now. As usual, we just start in the battle. Start the battle, you put the camps and all that. And get your buff. And we're going straight to the portal. So, first phase of Balor. He will be on the horse, mounted up. He always, at the start of the battle, he always does 2 slams. That sends 2 shockwaves. So you either block them or just dodge and make sure, that the shockwaves don't hit you. Now this particular pattern that he's going to do right here, he goes back a little bit on his horse, raises his hand, and starts shooting these time bombs around himself. As you can see, they start spawning all around him. You have literally like a second or a second and a half to either dodge away from them or block them. So be careful of that pattern over there. Next thing that he's going to do is he's gonna turn around a little bit on his horse, do the slam, right? And after he does the slam, he turns around and sends a massive shockwave. Now that shockwave right over here, you can see it. That shockwave does so much damage that it can literally kill you, depending on the connection. So if the connection is, not stable 5 bars, you have like 4 or 3, this shockwave that he sends might kill you right away. So watch out for that. After he does it, he runs a little bit forward and then does like a thrust forward. Now, what he does next? This particular one, he spins around on his horse and does 4 slashes. This is one of them, the first slash. It has a very wide hitbox, so please keep that in mind. Either block or dodge from it. And then after a little delay, he does yet another one, and then another one right away. So that's 3. And after that, the last one. What you would naturally want to do with this particular pattern, you would want to, once he hits someone or you with the first slash, you would want to run a little bit forward, so you are like on the opposite side. So it's gonna be way harder for him to track you and hit you with the other slashes. So you can either go to the back of his horse or stand a little bit to the side, but please keep in mind this particular pattern, all of the slashes, they have a pretty wide hitbox. So he does that, and this particular pattern, he runs on the horse and does these slashes. This has a couple of extensions to them. We'll probably catch the different extensions of it. Right here, he does one slash, and after that, after a little delay, he moves forward and sends another shockwaves. So you would want to watch out for these shockwaves as well, just like the previous one of the previous patterns that we talked, because pretty much a lot of the moves that he does on the horse, they can one-shot you if the connection is bad. Next up, he runs away, does this slam, basically just dodge and block through it. Make sure it doesn't hit you. Then he stops. This one. It's a little bit hard to get used to, like, what pattern he's going to do, but with time, you will remember and see the indications of like what he is about to do. This one, he runs a little bit forward yet again and does a slam, just a single slam. This has an extension. He can do that while on the horse. He can do 2 slams. So please be advised. Right over here, let's go a little bit back. His next pattern that he does, you would think, because he starts spinning, right? You would think that he is about to do the 4 slashes, but it doesn't. He literally does nothing over here. Besides the fact that if you don't stand in the inner circle, there's going to be the orange circles around, just a little bit, further. So if you get hit by them, your stamina is going to be drained for quite some time. So please make sure you always stick as close as you can to the Balor. But yeah, he doesn't do much during that particular pattern, so just sandbag him. He possesses no threat during that thing. The time bombs again. Remember what I told you? Just make sure that you don't stain them more than 2 seconds, a second and a half, right? And yet again, the slam. He turns around, does the slam, and then sends a massive shockwave, and then thrusts forward. So please be careful with that. One of the other extensions to the slashes that he did a little bit earlier is he continues running while he raises his hand, and he starts sending these fireballs over here. Let's slow it down. He sends these fireballs. They track you, but they track the position where you were while they were launched. So you just have to make sure that you continuously keep on dodging so they don't hit you. If they hit you, you lose all your stamina and you will be debuffed for a couple of seconds. Yeah, Balor has a lot of stamina debuffs, so please watch out for his stuff, for the fireballs especially. This next pattern is the extension to the a single slam that I told you. He just did twice. He did the slams twice. So be careful. He mixes it up. Sometimes he does 1 slam, sometimes he does 2. So be prepared for that. Now, he ran away again. Send the shockwave, right? And if he didn't do the shockwaves last time when he ran away, this time he does. And he does it twice. 1 from his left and 1 from his right. He sends 3 shockwaves. So they can kill you too, pretty easily, so please be careful. And has an extension to the fireballs as well. Yeah, so he mixes up his patterns quite often. So you just have to be always aware of what's going on. And just look at these, at the body language, basically. Because, he raises, if he continues running and raises his hand, that means he's going to do the fireballs. So be careful. Be careful of that. It does nothing here, again, as I said. You can do that. The slash combo. Be careful of each hit, wide hitbox he has there. Once again, the time bombs, of course. Now this pattern that has, is an extension to the previous ones. He keeps on doing these slashes, and he does it 6 times. From the left, from the right, from the left, from the right. And after that, sends a shockwave. So at this point, just make sure you're dodging and blocking. I'm going to say that a lot, because, dodge and block, our bread and butter to survive. Just make sure you lose as less health as you can, and just watch out for these hits that he does. And that's pretty much all of the patterns that Balor does on his first phase, while he's on his horse. So once he drops to 9.5 bars, he will dismount, and the second phase will begin. He's going to finish his pattern right here. And time to dismount. He dismounts, so you have time to use your repair kit. Watch out for the minimap. Look at the minimap and make sure you position yourself in the middle, because that's where he stands. And just wait. Wait for him to fly, and then he crashes down with a slam. If you stand in the middle, right near him, this particular slam and the shockwave will not hit you. You will receive 0 damage. So the second phase starts, and now we're fighting Balor one-on-one. He's not on the horse anymore. He doesn't run around like a fool. This first pattern that we encounter, he flies away a little bit, then hits you once, and then hits you again. So there is like a little delay between the attacks. So just make sure you're dodging and blocking away. After that, he teleports and reappears at the random person and hits them with a slash. So you have to make sure that you time it well over there. After he does this slash in midair, he will thrust his axe twice in a row, then teleport again, reappear, and do another slash. This is a pretty long combo. I usually call it a flying combo. So you just have to keep in mind that every time he teleports, he does this slash. So, and he can appear at the random person, so you might be standing near that person. So be careful. Be very careful. This one, a very tricky one. There are 2 outcomes over here, and let's slow it down. So what he does, he stands, and then kind of claps his hands, right? If there are no time bombs that are just scattered around him, it means that he's going to send the shockwaves. So there are 2 outcomes of this pattern. How to figure out if he's going to do the shockwaves or he's going to do the time bombs. So you will see the time bombs right away once he claps his hands. But if they don't appear, and there is only like fireballs going, if there are people who are far away, the fireballs are coming from him, that means he's going to do the shockwave. So you would want to either block that or stand a little bit away from him to make sure they don't hit you. He does his pattern here again, the flying pattern. Always keep in mind that whenever he reappears, he does the slash. And he does it again. See, he claps his hands, his axe starts to glow. but there are no time bombs that flew from him. So that means there's going to be a shockwave, and that's the shockwave. This particular pattern is very, very dangerous. He sends 2 shockwaves, right, one after another. So you would want to just either run away or just dodge or block them. And it has an extension sometimes, the different outcome of it. He can do it again. So he can either do 2 sets of shockwaves or he can do 4 sets of shockwaves. So please be careful. There's a lot of players who are fighting Balor, hitting him in the back. Eventually, there is a pretty high chance that he's gonna turn around and do the slash. If you don't dodge or block away from it, you get hit by that. Right over here, like I did. It will prompt a little mini game, which is usually called QTE, a quick time event. So he gets you knocked down, and there is this this circle going on here. You would want this glowing circle to be in this one over here, and right when it crosses it, you would want to press E. The circle goes 2 laps, so you just ignore the first lap and press E on the second one. If you do it correctly, your character will roll back and escape the red attack that he does. If you don't, he will hit you for 5,000 damage, and it's quite a lot of health, right? So please be careful. Just keep in mind that if you get hit and it prompts this QTE, just wait for the second lap to start, and then once the bright circle matches the one in the middle, hit the E button. So the next pattern that he does, right over here, he starts walking a little bit, and right at the end, where you can see him, swinging his axe, he will send a shockwave. Then he reappears, sends another shockwave, and reappears again, so teleports, and does it again. So he does it 3 times. He will teleport to random people, to random players, and send this shockwave. What you want to do? You would want to stick to the edge of the arena, and it will be way easier for you to dodge them, because if you are standing at the edge of the arena, he will teleport and appear way further than you are, and you will spot these particular shockwaves. One of the other extensions that Balor can do whenever he does these 3 shockwaves when he teleports, where I told you to try to stay at the edge. After he does the 3rd one, he can send sometimes. He can send another one right over here. He can send the 4th shockwave after that, and then teleport and crash down on a random person. He crashes and sends the shockwave. So it's always, quite random whenever he does that. So whenever he does the 3rd shockwave, please don't get too relaxed and just watch out. Maybe he will do another shockwave and then crash down. So be careful. See, the extension that I was talking about. So he claps his hands. Right over here. Claps his hands. And you can see these time bombs going down. So he's gonna do the slam, but there's not gonna be, any damage. You're not gonna receive any damage. Instead, he will send more of these time bombs. However, there is one problem with this particular extension. After he thrusts his axe, he sends these extra time bombs, right? But they track you. These time bombs track you. So what you want to do, right when he does this thrust, you would want to do your, iframe moves, or block, or dodge. Because if you don't, you're gonna get hit by the time bomb, and you're gonna receive some damage, and you're gonna get your stamina drained from you. One of the trickiest things that Balor does when he's dismounted, and probably the most dangerous ones, and not counting, the KO and the walls that we're gonna talk about a little bit later, it's called a Spinslam combo. So what Balor does with the Spinslam combo and how it looks like, there are at least, I think there's 3 or 4 different outcomes of that. So he walks towards you with his axe, ready to attack, and what he does, we're gonna see he's gonna spam them at the end of the 8 bars. I'll show you. He does the hits, and you would always want to dodge away the first initial hit, because it's so tricky. The hitbox is super weird, and no matter how many times he's gonna do that, the outcome is gonna be different, every single time. Sometimes you perfectly just time it and you will still get hit. Sometimes he will miss, and sometimes you will be able to actually dodge. So I highly recommend, whenever he's going to do the spin slams, and we're going to go to it a little bit in like a couple of minutes, a couple of seconds, you would want to always dodge away and just jump, sprint, jump and dash away from the first initial hit. Then you can start dodging and blocking the other ones. This particular pattern does nothing to you if you are close to Balor. If you're not, if you're a few steps away from him, he will start the meteor shower, and that's gonna hurt like hell. So if you want to avoid completely this pattern, what he does over here, you can see this red aura around him, and his eyes will glow red. If you stay close to him, you will never receive any damage. So this is gonna be just a sandbag for you. If you stand away, he will start spawning the meteor shower, and it's gonna hit you 3 times. And once it's gonna hit you, the shockwaves are gonna go from you to the left and to the right. So you might be might be the reason someone dies if you trigger the meteor shower while not being close to Balor. So please be careful and make sure you stick close to Balor all the time. So, to avoid unnecessary death and, or how people like to say, the PvP in the Redeemers. As you will see after this meteor shower that he obviously failed to do, he's going to do this slam again from the QTE, and you got to be really precise here. But it's quite forgiving, so, don't be too afraid about it. Okay, so here's the spin slams. And he will do them, in my solo, he did like 4 or 5 in a row. See, he can either do 2 hits, 4 hits, or 6 hits. As you can see, he does these, these shockwaves. So he can either hit you 2 times, then do the slams, or 1 slam. Or they're all different. So if you watch this, this portion of video, it's just, he just spams it. And as you can see, I fell down. And that's because the first hit, like I said, is the hitbox is very, very weird. Let's watch it carefully again. So in this scenario, whenever he does the spin slam, you would always want to just dash away from him. So you just guaranteely, don't get hit by the first hit. All the other hits, the hitbox is quite forgiving. It does, the same thing right over here. I of course got hit because I was getting up, so I lost my. I couldn't do at that moment. I couldn't do anything. But overall, the Spinslam has different outcomes. Always, whenever he starts going like this, always try to dodge away the first hit. Dodge away, and then you can, either block or dodge the extra hits that he does. Sometimes he does one slam at the end, sometimes he does two. The spin slam combo is extremely dangerous when he targets one of the players, right? And you're attacking behind him. The hitbox is really, really weird there and tricky. So I would say if someone is getting hit, you see that Balor attacks someone with a spin slam. I would just recommend to just to stay away for a little bit and make sure you don't get hit by these random hits during the spin slam combo. So once again, don't try to avoid the first hit as much as possible, and then the other hits are, they're more forgiving, so you'll be able to dodge them away and just, put in a couple of hits in between the attacks. Also, one of the other patterns that he does is he thrusts his axe twice, just like how he does in the flying combo. So just dodge or block them away. There's usually no continue after that. No extra additional attacks. There is also this pattern that he's about to do over here. He turns around a little bit. His axe starts to glow, and then he does a hit with his axe and sends the time bombs. He leaves the time bombs behind. So you have to make sure to either dodge and block the initial hit, and then watch out for the time bombs, because obviously they're gonna be there for like a second and a half, 2 seconds, and then they will explode, damaging you. So be careful of that. Balor also has 2 anti-range attacks. So in my video, he doesn't really do them. One of them is the Meteor Shower that I told you. But I couldn't show you like how it feels like when you're Meteor Shower, right? So we're gonna watch Dark Fruits solo here real quick for these 2 particular patterns. Because he's a Bokai, so he's always at range. One of the anti-range attacks that Balor can do, so whenever he targets you and you're in the range, too far away from him, right after here, he will do it. So he goes into this little stance, as you can see, right? Spawns the circle around him, and even further, there's also a circle behind Dark Fruit, so he's standing in between. He does a stomp right over there. If you're close enough, you can block that stomp or dodge away from it. And whenever the target that he hits, that he's aggro's on, he then starts flying towards them with a red attack right over there. So if he targets you, the camera focuses on you, and that's quite scary, right? So you would want to dodge to the side like he does right at the end, right before he does the slam. So if you do it correctly, you will be able to escape that hit. It's a red hit, you can block, iframe through it, you're going to receive damage. So your best bet is to just dodge away from it. And the other pattern is the Meteor Shower. So just look how the Meteor Shower looks like when you're at range. So he does it right over here. And if you're far away, he starts spawning these meteors going down. There is a little delay between them. He does it 3 times. So once you spot these on the ground, oh, actually 4, sorry. When you spot them on the ground, just dodge away. Once Balor's health drops to 7 bars, he will start transitioning to his third phase, right over here, after he finishes this pattern. So if you stay close to him once he goes to 7 bars, you'll be fine. You know, he does nothing. He just teleports away, and there is a little cutscene that he does right over here. You would want to start sprinting from this at this stage, because he will start spawning these time bombs, you know, on the ground. So you just sprint, sprint, and sprint, or you can dodge, you know, continuously dodge to the left, to the right. See, you can get hit by them if you run into them, so you gotta be really careful. After that, he reappears on his horse, so you have to rotate your camera and to see where he is and run towards him as fast as possible, so you don't get caught by the circles that he does that drain the stamina. At the third phase, which he's on the horse again, he pretty much does everything what he did on the first phase, when he was on the horse, but except there is one extra pattern added. Let's slow down here. His horse, you know, gets on its like back hooves, and after that he teleports away and disappears. There are different outcomes of this pattern. Sometimes Balor appears, does these his slash mid-air, just like in one of the patterns that we watched him do when he teleports, the flying attacks, and then does the the double axe thrust. And sometimes there is his horse that teleports around, so you would want to just watch closely what's going on, where the horse is, so the horse doesn't, you know, damage you. It jumps around, teleports. Sometimes it does it twice. Sometimes Balor is on the horse, and sometimes Balor appears and does what I just showed you. So you have to just, you know, just make sure that you're aware every time he teleports. There is always the delay between the attacks, between the teleportations. So be really, really cautious there. There is a little trick, and I didn't mention it in the first horse phase. You always want to fight Balor when he's on the horse in the middle of the arena. Because right now, right here, as you can see, I stand at the edge of the arena. But there is a high chance that since Balor, when he's mounted on the horse, since he moves a lot on it, and he moves pretty, you know, randomly into the random directions, he might go off the area, off the arena, where you can't reach him if you're not a Bokai or a Staff EV. So make sure you keep Balor on the horse in the arena, not outside of the arena, wasting time. Fight him in the middle when he is mounted. Now, getting back to this pattern, when it ends, you can control where Balor is gonna reappear after this pattern. All you have to do is to make sure that your character faces the camera. So your character looks into your screen. So he will always appear behind you. A little bit further, but he will always appear behind you. But in the party play, it's quite hard to do that, because you don't know who his initial target is, right? With the last attack that he does with the teleportations. So it might be a little bit challenging. But if all the players in the party are aware of it, your character will face the screen, And when Balor reappears, boom, he will reappear behind you. So you can kind of control that, and not many people know about it. And sometimes, whenever he does that pattern, this random teleportation pattern, unfortunately, he might reappear off the arena. So you're going to be wasting time while he'll be doing some of his patterns, and the time will just tick. He does it again over here. You can see. See, it appeared, jumping on you, the horse jumping on you, but I was facing the screen. So at the end, he reappears behind, always. Yeah, so you can control him doing that. And that's pretty much it. That's just, he does on the horse, on the third phase, he does exactly the same patterns that he does on the first one, plus this teleportation pattern that people usually call horse RNG, because it's such a time attack killer, because he can do that pattern twice in a row, thrice in a row, whatever. It's such an RNG. But yeah, that's all about the phase with the horse, the third phase. So you just knock Balor down to 6.5 bars. Once Balor drops to 6.5 bars, the fourth phase will begin. After which he's gonna dismount and you're gonna fight him once again. So his fourth phase doesn't have, anything different than the second phase when he was fighting you dismounted. But there are 2 extra attacks that are added to his pattern list, his move list. And one of them, that's right, is the KO. So let's slow down here a little bit. How to figure out when the KO starts. The camera focuses on Balor. He walks back a little bit and starts spawning the circles around him. So you would want to be as close as possible to him. You can sandbag him here while he's spreading his wings, and he's all mad. He does 6 hits. Exactly 6 hits. So he chooses the random target, and to figure out who he targets, he will look at you. So when you're in a party play, if he looks directly to you while he's going back, and then he spreads his wings and starts levitating, it means it's going to be you. So basically what happens here, he goes back a little bit and then hits you with this thrust. That's the first attack, so either block or dodge it. After a little delay, he does another one. Then there is a little delay again, and he drops down a little bit with a huge hitboxed slash of his axe. So at this point, if you don't have a block, you would want to either dodge or jump away from him so the third hit doesn't hit you. And after that, he does the slam, which is the fourth hit. Now, the first 4 hits are focused on the target that he chooses. So if it's you, the first 4 hits, he will attack only you. There is also 2 other attacks in his 6-hit KO that he does. So after he does 4 of his attacks, he teleports, and after a short delay, he reappears at the random person. There is a super, as you can see, there is a super little delay between him reappearing and then doing his slash right here. After that, he teleports again and reappears yet again at a random person right before them, or like right in front of them or behind them. It's, random. So he levitates in the air for a little bit, literally maybe like a second and a half around that. And after that does the final hit, which is a multiple hit. So at this point, whenever he does the attack, sixth attack, you will just want to make sure that you wait patiently before he appears. And once he appears, right over here, you want to start either dodging either to the left or to the right, whatever position away from him, or just wait for him to do like I do and block the attack with like I do with a spell whip. After that, after the 6 hits, he is, I would say, kind of stunned. So he finishes the animation. This is the perfect chance for you to sandbag him and do like the maximum amount of damage that you can. You can also start doing the Resonance if you're a Spellsword Orisha, or the Bolt Storm if you're a Crossgun Kai. It's really good for Chain Blades Vela. I'm not sure how it's called when she just do these swings all the time with the Heart of Ice, right? This is the biggest sandbag in Balor that you can wish for. One of the other scary things that happens in the 4th phase of Balor are called lava walls. And this pretty much is the same as the gates, but just a little bit different over there. So how to figure out when the walls are gonna start? Balor teleports, right? He disappears, and you can clearly see him, just he's not there. He doesn't reappear right away after each teleportation. So this is the indication that he's gonna do the lava walls. Now, if you remember, in Sea of Reflection, in Nimane, whenever she does gates, you would want to look for the tower so you can start positioning yourself, so you can start preparing for this pattern. As for Balor in the Dark Side of the Moon, whenever he starts doing the walls, you want to rotate your camera and look for this huge red moon. This is where he's going to appear. He's going to appear in the arena, in the middle, so you would want to be in the opposite direction. You would want to be as far as possible from the Balor. Right here, that's where he appears. So the walls are quite scary, right? But they always follow the same pattern. So the open gate will always be there. So once it starts, once Balor disappears, start sprinting. Go back and start sprinting. But keep in mind, don't take your finger off the directional buttons, because if you will, you will stop sprinting, right? And there is a high chance, a very high chance, you're going to get hit. So what you want to do here is you want to make sure that you cut the corners as close as possible. You go and follow the same pattern over and over again. Right over here at the end, you would want to usually just dash to the right at the end of the walls so they don't hit you. So let's watch it again. The whole thing. So obviously there are windows where you can run into, as you saw. The key thing here is to make sure that you're sprinting already before they even start. So you have this, you have enough move speed so you can go and go and just run into these opening places, opening parts. At this point, it's kind of hard. I'm not sure if I can tell you different tricks how to do the walls. You just have to memorize where the open places are, and just make sure they don't hit you. Let's watch it like full speed here yet again. You see, I already start sprinting here. And I make sure that I stay close to the walls, to the initial walls, so they don't, so I have all this space and extra, seconds, like half of seconds, so I can just go to the other direction. You skip that part, and then you go to the right. You go to the right, and then you keep on sprinting towards, and then right after this wall, you turn left and keep on going left and then forward, and make sure you're right at the edge and cut the corner right here. Then you keep on sprinting and make sure before the second to the last walls, whenever you go to this opening, make sure you don't sprint towards Balor too much. Because otherwise, there is a high possibility that the last wall is going to hit you, and you won't be able to dash right at the end. And that's it. That's the walls. There is nothing much, to talk about it here. All I can say is that whenever you do the walls, make sure that if you get hit and you staggered or you get knocked down by the wall, chug a potion immediately. The HP potions, Redeemer HP potions, if you remember, they make you sluggish, so they decrease the move speed and the attack speed by 50% for a couple of seconds, which extends your iframes. So whenever you're down or you're staggered, you gain this little iframe. So whenever you chug a potion, it extends your iframes and ensures that the other wall won't hit you. But there is still, it all depends on which wall out of all of them you got hit and got knocked down. Because once you get knocked down, the chance that you're going to get hit by the other walls and probably die, because they're all red attacks, you can't, you can't block or dodge them unless you have true iframe moves. Even though there is even the true iframe moves, they don't have enough time giving you the invincibility to completely ignore the walls. Right at the end of the walls, Balor stands still, as you can see over here, and you can sandbag him just like after he does the KO. Then he teleports and reappears at the random player and does his slash. He does this slash in a lot of patterns, as you probably saw. But yeah, that's all about the walls. Just, they always follow the same pattern. Keep that in mind. So you just have to memorize where are these open spots where you have to go through. And always make sure that you're sprinting. Some characters like Staff Eevee, they can just do their flips, do the jumps, or Scythe Eevee, they can blink into them. I always dodge the walls with while sprinting because I feel the most comfortable with it. Once Balor's HP is dropped to 3.5 bars, he will enter the last phase. He's at that point. He's going to do the same patterns that he did in the second and the fourth phases. Right over here, the phase starts. There will be no more walls, so you can relax about it. No more walls, no more lava walls. But there is a trick behind Balor's last phase. If you get hit by any of the attack of Balor, you're going to get marked. And you're going to have an orange pillar of light at your character. What that means, you get debuffed for 30 seconds. If you get hit while having the mark, once again, you die. You fall down, the horse comes, picks you up, and just drags you to your death. Now, Balor can mark all the players, any amount of players at the same time. But once the first player who receives the second hit while being marked that player will die, and all the other marks will lift. But, you know, it's not an indication that you should just relax and start chilling, because once you get hit again, you're going to get marked again. And after you get hit once again, for the second time, you're going to die. So at this point, you have to be extremely cautious of the Spinslam combo. It becomes very dangerous. Also the Meteor Shower and the Clap combo. Specifically, when he drops these time bombs around him. Because if you get hit by the time bomb, you lose the stamina. And, you know, there is 250% chance that you're gonna get the second hit, you're gonna, while being marked, and you will die. So there is just, you have to be extremely cautious and just keep in mind all the other patterns that's been happening in the second and the fourth phases when Balor is dismounted. And make sure that whenever you're marked, to either play extremely safe and keep the distance, but keep in mind that he has the anti-range attacks, and try to survive until the last bar of his health, where he will be defeated. Here's the KO again. I forgot to mention that whenever he does this slash over here, he does a slam as well, which is like, it's not the 6 hits, dumb me. It's 7 hits, right? So let's watch it again, right over here. That's the first hit, the thrust, and then after a little delay, he does the second one that I countered. The slash is the third hit, and the slam is the fourth hit. And then another slam right after it that sends the shockwave. So both of these shockwaves, they all prompt the KO, so you die. Keep that in mind. So then he teleports, reappears, and does his mid-air slash. Watch out for that. And then reappears again at a random person. And after a little delay, that's his final attack. And that's it. That's pretty much it. So you just, after all that, and the last phase, you just have to make sure you don't get marked. And if you get marked, play safe and make sure you don't get hit for the second time, so you die. And drop Balor's HPs to 1 bar. And at that point, he will be defeated. Congratulations, you've cleared Balor. Enjoy the cutscene, and get your rewards, your progression, and your box that might contain some good stuff there. So this is pretty much it, covering the Dark Side of the Moon battle, Balor. As I said it in the previous guide, which I was covering the Sea of Reflection, experience comes with time and practice. Don't be discouraged if you die a lot in Balor, because he's naturally way harder than Nimane, but with time, you will master it. I promise you that. As always, thank you so much for watching. It was really fun. Please leave a like and hit a subscribe button if you find this video guide useful. Thank you so much. This was Legend Arma TV. I see you next time. Be safe. Love you.
Okay, there's the walls. Okay, Legend, run to the left. Yep, and straight. Right, right, and left. And right, right, and rather right. And yep. Oh. Hell yeah!
Fucking easy. This game is too easy, dude.